Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the World Wide Web. Welcome to Nerds Anonymous, the show where we talk about all things geeky and nerdy. I will be your host today, Dallin, aka Superman. Today, I'm going to introduce you guys to a new kind of side show that I'm going to be doing. Just me, Riddler, and Emerald Archer won't be joining me. Maybe sometime in the future, but we'll discuss that at some point. But basically, this show is just going to be me, kind of talking from me to you guys about comic books. Just going to be me reviewing comic books for you guys, whether it be new issues that just came out, older issues that I just find interesting and want to talk about. But basically, yeah, just me reviewing comic books for you guys, sharing my love for them for you guys, and maybe getting you guys some interested in stuff. And today I wanted to go ahead and take a look at the new Martian Manhunter #1 that just came out not even 2 weeks ago. And this is a very, very interesting issue to say the least. For those of you who don't know who Martian Manhunter is, he was created back in, I want to say it was the 60s, and he was a founding member of the Justice League. Way back when the Justice League of America was first formed. And he's been a consistent member all the way up until the New 52 of comic books, where they rebooted DC, and they kind of took him away from that, and for the longest time he wasn't associated with the Justice League at all. He kind of was off doing his own thing. He was a part of Stormwatch for a little while, and then he was a part of the Justice League of America, which wasn't in the New 52, wasn't actually the Justice League as we know them. They were basically, it was a government owned version of the Justice League, where basically Amanda Waller and Argus put together a bunch of the most dangerous people in the DC universe to basically combat the Justice League should they ever go rogue. And he was basically the counterpart for Superman, as he is one of the only people in the DC universe that is strong enough to actually take him on. And that's more or less what he went. And then he then when that league kind of got disbanded, then he joined the Justice League United, which is basically kind of the same. It was a new Justice League team. It was really should have been called Justice League Canada, as it was Martian Manhunter and a bunch of others, Green Arrow and Animal Man, that all kind of went to Canada and joined their own little team. But yeah, and then he kind of had his own series at one point that was kind of trash. It's not very fondly remembered, and it's not really good. But yeah, and then he kind of just disappeared when DC came out with the Rebirth. Then he really just disappeared, and he wasn't a part of anything all the way up until the new Justice League series is when they were trying to bring it back to what would be like the Justice League animated team. It was the normal superheroes, and then they added in Manhunter, Hawkman. They changed the Green Lantern to John Stewart to match that of the show, and then they kept like the people like Aquaman. Obviously, wasn't in the show your version of Justice League, but they kept him in here, as well as Cyborg, and yeah, and basically that's where he was. And now finally we got, like I said, a brand new series coming out of him. It's only a 12-issue mini series, or maxi series is what they call it. But it's still nice to see the Martian Manhunter finally getting the love and appreciation he deserves. And like I said, this is a very interesting issue. So it starts off. First of all, I'm gonna try to say that I'm gonna try not to give too many spoilers. I understand some of you guys might be interested in actually reading it, and it's kind of hard to do that if I give away the whole comic. So I'm trying not to do too many spoilers. But with comic book issues, it's slightly hard to do that, as there's not a whole lot to talk about in terms of just only 22 pages there. But I will do as best I can not to give away too much. But anyway, so it starts off with Martian Manhunter basically in his human form, John Jones. He is a detective on Earth, and he is investigating. He gets called in to basically investigate this murder scene, and he goes in, and it's this very gruesome, graphic murder scene. Something that him and his partner, her name's Diane, something they have never seen before. Like they've seen murder cases and really bad stuff, but never anything quite this bad. So they're both it's kind of disgusting, and they're going around looking through all this. And John goes upstairs because they find out. So it's this wife, or basically a man and a woman, husband and wife, that were murdered. And you find out that their kid is missing. There's no traces of her. So John, or Manhunter, goes upstairs to kind of investigate, see if he can find anything. And he starts getting these images, these telepathic kind of waves to him. and starts getting visions of his past, and then that's when the comic kind of transitions into his past, and this is where it really gets interesting. Is they kind of morphing Martian Manhunter's origin uh, to kind of being something he really wasn't. So in this version, he is now a kind of a corrupt cop. I mean, he like they even show him like extorting like kind of like one of his uh, normal people, like basically somebody who kind of launders money for him and runs kind of a fighting ring that basically they use white Martians, which for those of you who don't know, Martians, there's actually two different kinds of them. There's the green Martians, which was what Manhunter is, and then there's the white Martians, which are basically considered to be basically slaves. They're scum. They're not viewed in very high regard with the Green Martians, so they're kind of treated like that. So in this issue, they kind of show that the White Martians are they put them in like kind of almost like cockfights. If you guys know what that is, they use them for that. And Martian Manhunter is basically he's what Mars called Manhunters. They're cops basically, and he's very crooked. He's very corrupt, and he has a home life. He has a wife and a daughter, or wife and a son, I should say, and he keeps this side of him. And the most interesting part of this is so he goes home after kind of talking to this guy that is basically his partner, not really partner, but somebody he's involved with these criminal activities, and he goes home and he's talking to his wife, and him and his wife before they start arguing actually end up having sex. Um, and it's a very interesting way of doing it. I will go ahead and show that real quick just to give you guys an idea of what you're looking at here. Let me get there real quick. So in case you guys are ever wondering what Martian sex looks like, this is about what you're looking at. Yeah, it's weird. Really weird. But still interesting. And so then basically then they get to this point where so after they're done, kind of mating, and she finds out that deep in his head, he wants to have another baby. And she kind of basically is telling him, well, we can't really have another kid if you don't truly open yourself up to me. She goes, there's still parts of your head that are blocked off and I can't see them. And he goes, well, I'm trying to, all of this, the shit that I see every day, I'm trying to not, show you that so you can be spared of that. And she goes, I've seen worse. She kind of works kind of at a hospital, so she's seen stuff like that, and clearly he's trying to hide his criminal activities from her. And something of that, and so basically, so then it kind of jumps back forward to what would be the present, and he's driving the car, he's driving in a car with his partner. It's just back to him being the detective on Earth, and he gets this vision of almost Mars. It shows his kid frozen in ice. It shows like everything in front of him frozen in ice, and he crashes the car, and the car starts burning, and that's when for those of you who don't know, Martian Manhunter's weakness is fire. And it's not necessarily that it physically weakens him, it's more of a psychological thing, that fire really screws with his head, and it has a lot to do with the burning of Mars and the burning of his family, and it really screws with him. So the car starts burning, and he can't control his form. He can't keep his shape-shifting under control, so he reverts back to what would be his real form, and that's where the issue ends, is her freaking out going, what the hell are you? So yeah, that's basically the issue. I said there's not really much to spoil in this one. Not a whole lot happens. It's just kind of clearly it's building up a lot more. So I'm very interested to see where this is going to go. Like I said, it's nice to see DC giving Manhunter some credit again, giving him the respect he deserves. I've always felt that Martian Manhunter is a very, very underrated character, despite the fact that most fans, including myself, agree that he is the heart and soul of the Justice League, really. That's kind of always been his role. In fact, he's actually the current leader of the Justice League in Scott Snyder's Justice League series, which is really cool to see. But yeah, so it's a very interesting issue. I definitely recommend going out and picking it up, especially supporting it. So maybe we can get an actual full-length Manhunter series next time, and not just a 12-issue miniseries. Give Manhunter some support, and like I said, I I think people would definitely like it. It's kind of an interesting take on Manhunter. Him being like when he was on Mars, him being this very crooked cop, and I kind of like that angle. It's interesting to take. It's kind of like when New 52 did Shazam, where instead of him being this perfect, pure, good of heart little boy, he was kind of a punk, and he still ended up being Shazam. It was kind of a new, kind of darker and more realistic take. And I kind of like that about this series, that they're taking Manhunter and they're doing something they really haven't done with him. And like I said, him being the crooked cop on Mars, I think it's very interesting able to go. And I'm very curious as to see what it is that killed this family and what he's investigating and why it's giving him these psychic impulses, these things that are going into his head, like what he's seeing. It's really interesting to see. So yeah, that'll just to wrap it up there. I definitely recommend you guys go out and pick this up if you have the opportunity. It's a very, very good issue. Definitely a very good start to a very what I'm hoping is going to be a very strong miniseries. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. I have been Superman with Nerds Anonymous, and y'all have a great night now. Thanks.